Mr. Men, all aboard for Christmas. Mr. Christmas was looking forward to Christmas. Well, of course he was looking forward to Christmas. He was Mr. Christmas, after all. However, this year, he was particularly excited because little Miss Late had invited him to her house for Christmas Day. But there was so much to do before he could leave the North Pole. Father Christmas kept him busy cleaning his sleigh. Little Miss Christmas kept him busy helping her wrap all the presents. And the elves kept him busy tidying up their tools. Then Mr. Christmas had to run around the North Pole looking for a present for little Miss Late. He was worried that he was going to miss the train. It was pulling out when he reached the station. "All aboard!" called the guard. Mr. Christmas ran down the platform as fast as he could and just managed to jump aboard. "Thank goodness," he said to himself. "I would hate to be late for little Miss Late's Christmas." However, the train was being driven by Mr. Slow. And Mr. Slow, as you may or may not know, takes things ever so slowly. He's as slow as a snail, especially when there's snow. Mr. Christmas looked out of the window and watched as a polar bear overtook the train. He could not believe how slowly they were going. And this meant that Mr. Christmas missed the first ferry and had to wait for the second one. Finally, the ferry came into view. "All aboard!" cried the captain, and Mr. Christmas was able to continue his journey. However, little Miss Fickle was at the wheel, and she couldn't decide which direction to sail in. So she went this way, and then this way again. When he finally arrived on dry land, Mr. Christmas didn't know whether he was coming or going. And because of the slow train and the long ferry crossing, Mr. Christmas had not only missed the first bus, but the second bus as well. And he was only just in time for the third one. "All aboard!" called the conductor. "I've ruined Christmas," sighed Mr. Christmas as he climbed aboard. It might have been the third bus, but it was not the third time lucky, because the bus got a puncture, and to make matters worse, the bus driver was Mr. Forgetful. Did he have a spare tire? No, he had forgotten to bring one. Poor Mr. Christmas. When Mr. Christmas finally reached little Miss Late's cottage, he was 3 days late. Mr. Christmas had missed Christmas. "I'm so sorry," he began when she opened the door. But then he looked past her and saw that the Christmas tree had not been decorated, and the turkey was not in the oven. "Silly me," he said, for of course little Miss Late never has Christmas on Christmas Day. Her Christmas is always late. Mr. Christmas helped little Miss Late decorate the tree, and then they opened their presents. Mr. Christmas gave little Miss Late an alarm clock, and little Miss Late gave Mr. Christmas an Easter egg from the Easter before. It was very late for Easter, but still delicious. Together, Mr. Christmas and little Miss Late cooked the turkey, roasted the potatoes, and made a big pudding with holly on the top. Finally, they sat down to enjoy their Christmas lunch. A late lunch. It was midnight.